Unit number 6 is organizational change. And in this, we have got subtopics are change processes, types of changes in organization, reasons to change, resistance to change, and managing the change. As you are seeing that organizational leadership has to address several issues. And one issue is that we just examined that the leadership has to manage conflicts. Conflicts are bound to arise where human beings are together. So that is one aspect we just have discussed in previous 1 hour. And another thing is that change, whether it is planned or unplanned, things are changing. Life is changing. The world is going on. And we see changes at every place, at our homes, the appliances we use, they have changed over time. In schools, we see that the teaching learning process that has undergone a change from chalk, blackboard to whiteboard, marker, and to PowerPoint slides and multimedia projectors. Things are changing on at different levels in our society. So organizational leadership has to be prepared to accept changes which are useful for their organization. As the science is progressing, as the knowledge is increasing, so we have to absorb all the changes that are taking place around us. As the world is changing into a small global village, so there's a influx of communication going on, and hence we need to assess the changes, accept the changes, assess the changes, then accept the changes which are useful, which are good for the organization. So change management is the topic of this unit, change management. So what is organizational change? First, we'll discuss that. Defining organizational change. That is, what is an organizational change? So it can be defined as the adoption of a new idea or a behavior by an organization. It is the way of altering an existing organization to increase organizational effectiveness for achieving its objectives. And another definition may be organizational change is primarily structural in character, and it is designed to bring about the alteration in organization. So, whatever type of organization we have, maybe we have got an educational organization which we are concerned with. So, in that, if there is an organizational change that is taking place, or is likely to take place, or must take place, we should see how structural changes should be made, what sort of structural changes would be good for the efficiency of the institution, and how we can make the changes to suit us. Now, change can be forced from internal front, change can be forced from external front. That means those forces of change which are working may have the origin within the organization, or it may come from outside pressure. So there are two main types of forces, and first one is internal force, and in internal force, change in size of the organization. For instance, I have started a primary school. So now, after stabilizing and having a success in running a primary school, now I think of changing the organization and making it befitting for a higher school level. So I have to increase more classes. For that, I have to take several steps. I have to, for instance, I have to increase the infrastructure. Maybe I have to build another block for the students. If I have got co-education with, if I have got co-education with me at primary level, at secondary level, I may not be able to carry on co-education. I will have to have a female section separate, a male section separate. So that is a force of change within that the administration have decided that let's grow from primary level to secondary level or college level, or as it happened in my institution, we started up for metric stream or FSC stream in a normal affiliation with the federal board, and then the we thought that the A level and O level demand was also there. A change was brought in. A new block was built for A level, O level classes. New staff was recruited for A level, O level classes. New enrollment of student was done for A level, O level classes, and complete new block came up. So that change, which brought in A level, O level in our setup, was our internal decision. So performance, that may be first thing, maybe change in size. The second thing is performance gap. If the principal changes, or even if he doesn't change and find that the performance which is expected is much below than what is actually the performance is. The results are not good enough. So there is a performance gap. Hence, the changes are to be brought in to bring better efficiency, better standard, and obviously that changes would be that first important job is that of a teacher. So more experienced, more qualified teachers would be inducted, number one, and then the management would be of the different sections would be improved, and better facilities in terms of resources would be provided, so that this change could become permanent in future. Then change in the top management, I just mentioned that the principal might change, or the vice principal might change, or the administration may shift from one hand to another hand, and hence the new administration, they would definitely like to bring changes. And you might have noticed that some if the boss changes, he may do some other thing or not, but at least he would change the setting of the furniture in his office. He would remove a few boards, add a few boards, change the direction of the table or the chairs, or the change the different things. So that is the idea is to give a look that now the things are going to be different. And the other main part of forces that are grouped under external forces of change. They are technology. Now, technology is changing. So as the technology is changing, so that means that our other competing organizations or setups would be changing. If in my vicinity, the in the schools or colleges, instead of blackboard, whiteboard is being used, well, I would have a pressure from my staff and students that the blackboards should be replaced with whiteboards. If the is some good institution, multimedia projectors are being installed in all the classes, I will have the pressure. This would be a sort of external pressure on me that things are improving on technical side. So I should also bring in the change. If the institutions are coming up where they have got, say, backup system in for energy, they have started air conditioning their rooms. Well, that would be an external force and pressure to bring in those sort of changes. If there's say English medium, Urdu medium, Quran Pak, Nazra, Tajweed Quran, any change in the syllabus or curriculum is being made, that in my neighborhood, obviously I'll have to follow the step. So environmental factors. What are environmental factors? These environmental factors is that economic condition is changing, and political condition is changing, demographic condition is changing. Demographic means the size of the population is increasing, decreasing, or the economic condition is going down or up. In the recently, I came across one of my relatives who has a private school in Sargoda. Now, just asked him, how's your school going? He said, it's not in good condition. I said, why? He said that, I made this much big school to accommodate these people, and now the economic condition has gone bad, and main staff was coming, the children of main these the parents of the children, they were employed in the mining industry nearby. Now the mining industry is shutting down, and hence the parents are getting unemployed, and they are pulling their children from this institution to put them somewhere in some government school. So environmental, that means that your if the change is too big, that means your classes are going to be out of use. So changes are taking place. You might think of making use of those vacated classes for some other purpose. So that would be an external force of change on to you. Then change process. A change process can be described in four phases. Each phase has key element. Now, what are the phases? We'll discuss the phases, but first let's see generally in general terms what are the change process. Now, this is again a nice photo which I found on Google and brought it for you. On the extreme left hand side, you find old status. That is before the change. Before the change, there was stability. Then there was a change. And there, as we'll see, there's always a resistance when the change is taking place. So there's a dip down. People are not welcoming the change. They are sliding down with the force of change. They are resisting it. But ultimately, when the resistance has peaked up and then the resistance has started dying out, then the change, people start accepting the idea of the change, and then they are transforming their idea, and they are started accepting it and integrating with the change. And then ultimately, with the passage of time, there comes a time that with the change they get adjusted, and this is how a new status quo is developed. So this is a sort of change. But to bring a change, we have to do few things. If in your organization, in your institution, you want to bring a change, you have to do at least 3 steps. At least 3 steps. First is unfreeze. Second is, once you have unfrozen it, change, then freeze. Giving you an example of your kitchen, you have brought meat or beef from a market. You don't want to cook it. Obviously, you have brought enough of meat, and all cannot be cooked that day. So you have frozen it in your deep freezer or fridge. So now, the day you want to make use of that, first thing you normally do is pick out that beef or meat or mutton, whatever it is, or chicken. You come, bring it out and unfreeze it. So for some time it lies out and it's unfrozen. Then you make the change. What change? You cook that salan or whatever you want to cook. And once you have made use of it, whatever is left out, again you refreeze it, put it back into the refrigerator again. So at least similarly in an institution, same simile, in an institution you want to bring changes. So first, ensure that employees are ready for the change. That means you have to unfreeze them. You have to break the old status quo. You have to motivate them. You have to inspire them. You have to create expectations among them that new things are coming, new things are cooking, they are going to be good for you. So please be mentally ready to join in. So you bring change, that is, execute the intended change. You tell them, okay, now I'm going to distribute the staff. It's in these news sections. In these news sections, I'm going to perform this thing that is going to be good for you as well as for the institution. So you have brought in the change. And then once the change has taken place, then refreeze means that now the new setup which has come up, now try to stabilize that new setup. Give them this idea that now this thing is going to work like this. So again, back to refreeze. Now, one these steps, unfreeze, change and refreeze. Unfreeze, change and refreeze. Please keep them in your mind. Further, a few details about unfreeze. When you have to unfreeze, you have to take the following measures. What? Manage doubts and concerns. When things are about to change, you are changing the setup, you are shifting, you are giving a golden hand to some staff, you are just shutting them away, you are recruiting some new staff. So there would be some doubts and concerns, some sense of insecurity. So manage doubts and concerns. Create an awareness create an awareness and motivation for for a change. Tell people that the things are going to go better. The prospects are good. So once this unfreeze procedure is complete, then you introduce the change, and that is progressive adoption of new routine or behavior. Now, this word progressive to be noted that once you have brought the change, that change should not be sudden and in a bulk, and at all of a sudden you change everything totally. No, no. Bring the change in a slow and step by step, progressive manner. People have got the time to adjust to it, and they digest the changes. So, progressive adoption of new routines or behavior is must during the second important phase, that is change. And in during this phase you make the thing absolutely clear. There should be no doubts should be removed, concerns should be addressed, and the goals should be established, that these are the goals which we are going to achieve. These are the targets which are we have set for you. And then as the plan starts unfolding, step after step is being taken, then please see to it that your communication is perfect. You are in touch with one another. You are in close communication with your staff. And as and when the doubts or concerns are arise, then you face them and iron them out. Then refreeze, accepting the change. Refreeze means that now prepare the atmosphere, that these things, whatever the benefits are accruing, whatever the fruits of the success, fruits of the change, they should reach to the staff, they should reach to the people, so that they start feeling that the change is occurring, and the change is useful for them, and change is good for them, and then the change has come to stay. That's not a temporary gain. The gains are going to further increase, and sustaining the changes, that this change is going to remain same. That means the old system is not going to revert. Now, so people are made to adjust to the changes. So sustain the changes. Now, types of changes. There are different types of changes which may occur, and some of them are mentioned here. First is happened change. Some change may happen. It's not planned by you. You have not brought in that change. For instance, students, in students you find that students have slowly and slowly started talking in English. This was an Urdu medium school, but because of the this social media, and because of the influx of information, because of the various channels, electronics channels there, because of the this Google laptop and everything, which computers which they have got, they have started using English medium. So that is a change which has taken place now. Organization, this is not a bad change. So organization might like to adopt it. So this change happened, which they are going to adopt it. That is one example. Then reactive change that are clearly in response to an event or a series of events are termed reactive change. Reactive change means something has happened somewhere, within or without, or outside the organization or inside the organization. And then in response to that, we had to change. So we are changing. I gave you few examples. that the schools nearby, for instance, have started introducing Tajweed Quran. That means a Nazra Quran properly being taught at different levels, and then the Sirat part, and then the history part, and then the Fiqh part. Some content of that is being also introduced in the neighborhood, in the other schools. So, as a result, you cannot lag behind. Reactive change. You make a change, that means a reactive change. Anticipatory change. Something is has not happened so far, but it is expected to happen. That is, we anticipate that that thing is going to happen. So you also, in anticipation, you also bring that change. So changes carried out in expectation of an event or a series of event is called anticipatory change. Then planned change. Now, something which you consciously sit down, your academic council or your governing bodies, board of governors, they decide that, okay, we are going to have A level, O level in our institution, and with these phases and these steps that would be established. That is a planned change. Then there's incremental change. Incremental change means that you announce that with the passage of time, for instance, you say that so far our school is primary level school, but every year one class would be added. Next year, sixth class will start, next to next year, seventh class start, next to next year, eighth class will start. And so the changes would take place. That is called incremental change. Changes directed at the micro level and focused on units, subunits within an organization are termed as incremental change. Then operational changes. This is necessitated when an organization needs to improve the quality of its products. So operational change, I gave you an example. You think that your standards, academic standards need to improve. So you induct new staff, that more qualified staff, more experienced staff. Then strategic changes. What are strategic changes? Change that is addressed to the organization as a whole. Change that is addressed to the organization as a whole. So that is strategic changes, changes at bigger level, at higher level, that bring out structural changes in the organization. Those are strategic changes. Then there are directional changes. A directional change means a change in direction may become imperative for an organization due to severe competition. I'll give you example of that directional change. Then fundamental change. This entails a redefinition of the current purpose of mission. For instance, my school was Urdu medium school. Fundamental changes that decision was made by the board of governors that it would be an English medium school from next academic year onward. All books would be changed, and similarly, medium of instruction would change. That is fundamental change. Then total change. Total change means for total change, the organization is constrained to develop a new vision. That means complete change. It was a educational institution of a normal metric stream. We said, okay, now a metric stream finished, and now we have only A level, O level in our institution, or we will have a madrasa school. Reasons to change. Next is reasons to change. What are the reasons to change? Changing nature of the workplace. For instance, almost every organization has to adjust to a multicultural environment. Human resources, policies, and practices have to change in order to attract and keep this more diverse workforce. Initially, maybe I was catering for only local population. With the passage of time, I said, okay, now we'll have staff from different provinces, different regions. Similarly, we'll have a hostel in our institution, and students from Balochistan, Sindh, KPK, they would be given scholarship to reside in our hostels. And so, you have brought in diversity in your institution. And we have talked of the diversity in second unit. If you're bringing in diversity as well as workforce is concerned, manpower is concerned, that may be one of the reason for change. Second is technology. That is one of the main reasons for change. And we have given examples of new and latest innovations in teaching learning process which are being brought, and due to that technology, more and more use of technology is being used. Just see that you are sitting somewhere in Saudi Arabia, I'm sitting in Pakistan, and a virtual classroom atmosphere is created through an LMS system. There's this Microsoft team is involved, and a proper lecture form of instruction is being done. So this change was online classes, online workshop was only possible due to advancement in technology. So technology is changing jobs and organization. I remember about 3 years ago, I have been resource person of Allama Iqbal Open University for last 25 years. 25 years. But for last 3 years or so, online workshops have started. Before that, there used to be study centers in say in one district there used to be one or two study centers. So all the students from that district for Allama Iqbal University would converge in that center physically, and we'll go as a resource person, and will normal class would take place as it takes place. But now this due to change in technology, this improvement in technology, we see that huge changes are taking place. Another reason is competition. Now, there's a competition at all levels. There's competition at international level. There's competition at national level. There's competition at local levels. So, due to competition, the organizations, different organizations, they are forced to make changes. They are forced to make changes, and we find that changes are coming because something has happened in the neighborhood, so we have to keep in step. Then world politics is changing, and obviously, as we in Pakistan are now facing nowadays, that IMF, we have to get a loan from IMF. And for getting loan from IMF, the IMF lays condition: change this, change this, change this, change this. So accordingly, we are changing on the dictations of the international organizations who are lender organizations, and lending, due to lending and borrowing, the changes have to be made. There are several other reasons. I have just mentioned four. There are several other reasons for change, and they need not be explained. They are self-explanatory. I'll just read it for you. Internal change will help you focus. So external change will shape you. Change ensures life stays exciting because if you don't change it, life becomes boring and monotonous. Change leads to opportunity and experiences. Yes, surely it does. Then change ensures that bad situations end. Change helps you move on. Change means progress. Change documents your journey. Change will happen anyway, and change is the reality. Now, I am coming to the last portion of this unit, that is change is not always smooth. That as we mentioned, three steps, that is unfreeze, then change, and refreeze, seems to be so simple. It's not that simple. There is always some sort of resistance to a change. Whenever a change is taking place, there's some sort of resistance. So, organizational inertia means staying still or staying quiet or, stagnate. That is inertia. That is no movement, there's inertia. So, organizational inertia is the tendency for an organization as a whole to resist change and want to maintain the status quo. So, by nature, human beings would like to be in the same situation as they are. They feel uneasy, uncomfortable when there's a change taking place. So, one thing is natural that we are reluctant reluctant to make change. Then one of the most important tasks of manager is to facilitate changes smoothly. Change is always inevitable, but so is resistance to change. Now, we have seen different types of changes. There are some changes which are planned, there are some changes which are unplanned, there are some changes which we have to make. Now, as we are forced to make certain changes, as certain changes have to come, similarly, resistance is also natural. The resistance has to come, and resistance does come. So one of the most important tasks of manager is to facilitate changes smoothly. Change is always inevitable. So this resistance has to be overcome. Types of resistance. Now, what are the types of resistance? One may be logical resistance. The kind of resistance basically arises from the time people genuinely take to adopt and adjust to changes. For example, when computers became common, typists, accountants had to shift from accounting on paper to digital accounting. So obviously, that was a resistance coming from the accountants and typists that these computers are going to replace us. They are going. We are considered to be Plato's and Aristotle's of accounts, and now the computers are going to replace us. So that was logical that they had to resist. Psychological resistance. Under this category, the resistance occurs purely due to mental and psychological factors, right? And likes and dislike, for instance. Then sociological resistance. This resistance relates to not to individuals, but rather to the common values and customs of group. For examples, if a workers' union protest against new management policies, all workers will face pressure to protest together. Resistance from the labor unions, for instance.